And good morning, everyone tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning and part three of our leadership series. And really excited to take a dive on what it is we're going to be exploring together this morning. So, the topic for today is team equilibrium. You know, one of the most important facets is first and foremost understanding, well, what do we mean by equilibrium? Well, if we break down equilibrium, what it means, it equates to having balance, right? And being balanced. So team equilibrium, we're discussing the notion of team balance, right? How do we make sure, whether we're managing and leading folks who are in office with us or perhaps are remote, how do we achieve a level of balance to where everybody understands what their role is, they're confident in their position, and they are committed to the culture that has been established? Now, on the notion of culture, we clearly understand that when we're breaking down culture based off part one of this series, it is where the organization principles, your actual team, and the end result for the client, it's where those three meet, right? So that center, that space in the middle, that is what defines your active culture within your organization. But when we think about the role that team equilibrium plays, we really want to dive into your team members, right? That circle that has to do with the kind of folks you have chosen to be in your organization. Now, when we kind of peel that apart, there's many facets to this, right? This has to do with part two of this series as far as executive alignment is concerned. So one of the main areas that we really want to consider is first and foremost our team's value system. Now, if we understand that a team is comprised of a group of people, each individual person brings their own value system to the table. And based on that value system, right, there's work-life priorities and there's personal life priorities. So taking a deeper look into our individual team members, having a very clear understanding of what their value system is, what their work-life priorities are, and what their personal life priorities are, will give us the kind of knowledge that we need to make sound decisions to ultimately ensure that our team is at equilibrium. Now, so you ask, so Dr. Collura, I hear you, but what does that actually mean? Well, this is what that means. The more of an understanding I have of what makes the individuals on my team click, the better I will be able to place them strategically with other employees, with other team members, assign them to specific projects. What's a phenomenal tool for this? Any sort of inventory, and actually not just any inventory, one that we use here at CEO Effectiveness is called the Neo 360. The Neo 360 does a phenomenal job at breaking down different components that go into identify the kind of personality traits that people on your team have. Now, where do those personality traits come from? Well, it's a direct reflection of their value system. So if we understand their value system, we understand what motivates them. If we know what motivates them, we know how to get them to perform at their best. And if they're performing at their best, other folks on your team are going to want to align with them, right? There's not this negativity or some sort of a contentious relationship, right? So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to show you a slide, right? It breaks down what active culture looks like. And then that breakdown as far as alignment is concerned with your individual team members. That breakdown, tapping into that, just like we discussed in part two, is really where you're going to find the good stuff that makes up your team equilibrium. But the decision of how you manage each individual person that is reporting to you, that really is a skill set that we here at CEO Effectiveness can certainly help you with. So go ahead and take a look. I'm going to cut the video just for a second and switch over to the slides so you can take a look at it. Okay, so now that you've had a second to take a look at that slide and get a visual representation, you have a better idea and an understanding of where active culture has a complete connection when we're talking about that alignment piece based off of value systems, personal priorities, and professional priorities. So the biggest thing there is we really want you to understand when you're talking about team equilibrium, team balance, it very much starts with the value system that each individual team member carries and how that aligns with the active culture that you are having your team members live and work in day in and day out, which is a direct representation of company pillars how the clients that you work with, how they are served and what you want that experience to mean, and then how team member dynamics interact with one another. But it starts with the individual pillars based with the individual team members that you have actually doing the fulfillment side of your business or organization. So now let's talk about some immediate action items, things that you can do, right, that can enhance that team equilibrium. Well, first and foremost, you certainly want to do an assessment. The Neo 360 is absolutely where you want to start. Visit us, ceoeffectiveness.com. We can help you with that particular assessment. Outside of that, once you have those results and you have individual discussions and conversations with your team members, hey, John, Bill, Susie, Amanda, tell me about yourself. Tell me, what is it that makes you tick, right? What are things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, things that you don't like either? And let's have a deeper dive and let's have touch points. Let's talk a little bit more of what it is that makes you, you, right? Have those discussions, right? One thing that Dr. Anton always talks about is conversation should always be at the level of dialogue, right? Meaning that if you aren't having regular dialogue with your folks to where they feel comfortable and they feel confident, they can come to you and other team members and direct reports have that sort of culture, you're going to be in for some challenges, especially when we're talking about team equilibrium. So start with an assessment. Have a very frank discussion and a conversation with your team about it, right? What their priorities are, what their value system is. You'd be amazed at the sort of barriers you could break by having that sort of discussion. And then number 3, give us a call here at CEO Effectiveness. The way we're able to kind of take a deep dive with team members who work here as well as remotely, and the tools that we are able to use to enhance team balance and team equilibrium, it brings results in an immediate fashion, and that's exactly what we're here for. So, team equilibrium, very important, guys. Make it a phenomenal Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you part 4 next week. Take care.